School is back, and Dick's Sporting Goods has what you need to win your year. We've got everything from cleats to Sambas, dunks, and more. Plus, the hottest looks from Nike, Jordan, and Adidas. Find your first day fits in-store or online at dicks.com.
It's the most magical time of the year, and I'm not talking about Christmas. I'm talking about the NFL season. So make sure you're ready with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. Get the most live NFL games all in one place. Right now, you can save $85 when you bundle NFL Sunday Ticket with YouTube TV. Sign up today at youtubetv.com/Spotify. Device and content restrictions apply. Discount applied to first 4 months of YouTube TV, then $72.99 a month. Ends August 29th. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. No refunds.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to the first post-conference presser of the Premier League season, ladies and gents. Arne Slot, first press conference for the Premier League, the official one. We've done pre-season naturally, but this feels proper, doesn't it? And we'll do the normal like we do. We will walk through the questions he was asked, the answers he was given. We'll look at Ipswich threats, but nothing to really rotate back on, because we could talk about, I'm going to do a Sevilla lessons learned or anything like that. It is pre-season a little bit. We'll talk through lineup, and I will give my score and scorers. We'll see how I get on this season. It was difficult at times last year. We'll have to see anyway. But let's get into the questions and answers. Before I get into the questions and answers, though, very impressive, by the way. A very impressive performance, if you want to call it that, by Arne Slot. Measured in everything he said. An exceptional communicator, you could see. He listened intently to all the questions he was asked by the journos. At times, he even almost corrected them in what they were saying, or like wanted to clarify the question because he listened that precisely and adapted things, challenged them back at the same time, which is interesting. He is a very assured, very confident character, which is brilliant. We like, but you can see very confident and very, I'd almost say robust in the way he approaches things. He is focused, he is ready. A lot to like about his manner as much as the answers. So let's get into it, ladies and gents. What did he say? Well, he was asked this first one by Vinny O'Connor of Sky, etc. So, yeah, first one, are you excited about this? Bearing in mind that no Liverpool manager has won their opening game. Well, a little bit loaded, but so excited, of course, nothing to do with what you just said. After pre-season, it's always nice to start the season as we worked so hard for the last few weeks. Nothing wrong with that. Is there already just sort of setting the tone? And I'm listening to what you say, and I'll pick you up and correct you if I need to at the same time as well. We then asked about transfers, and naturally this was going to come. With the Zubimendi situation, are you disappointed? You're not able to add anyone, and there's loads of elements to that. And Slot picked up on that. He said, "You've asked a lot of questions in one there." I said so many times already, the squad is strong, and it's not easy to find players that can really strengthen us. Zubimendi was one of them, to be fair, but he decided not to come. We go forward with the ones who've done well in pre-season, though. We're in a good place. Like I said many times before, in the background, Richard is trying to strengthen the squad as best he can. Unfortunately, Zubimendi decided not to come, and we tried every effort, but if the player doesn't want to come, then he's not coming. Yeah. Interested he named Zubimendi because I suppose it's out there publicly. Slot wouldn't always talk about it. Slot does. Klopp wouldn't probably talk about players like that. Oh, that's the first and last faux pas for this season. Interesting, though, because if you think of all the reports we've seen recently, it's very much been, and I know we'll have all seen this and been frustrated at it, Zubimendi or no one. So it's interesting to say Richard is trying to strengthen it, and I suppose it's how you want to see that. Do you see it? We are still looking at that position or trying, or with the likes of Marmadashvili and other things, we're still looking at other positions. Is that what you thought Slot was truly saying? It might still be Zubi or no one. I mean, we all have to be honest on this. We need a 6. And Zubimendi, I think many of us believed, would have really moved the dial a big way. It might be that we can't get a player who we believe moves the dial as much as that. That's absolutely fine. But we have to get a 6. It feels, saying it, mandatory in this window. If you look at the way he's played players in certain positions, I know it's the 4-box-4, as you call it, or I call it, in possession, but very much out of possession. You have seen that 4-2-3-1 a lot this pre-season. We've seen that in the patterns of play. And if you think about the players for positions, it seems to be it's Harvey or Szoboszlai for the 10. It seems to be McAllister, maybe Jones for the 8. It seems to be Gravenberg for the 6, the starting 6, which I could probably give my hand away a little bit. I don't think anyone's surprised by that. But the Ipswich game, who's the other 6? Now, at the moment, you probably say Endo, but it's quite clear he doesn't fancy Endo. So we always believed, it's not changing anything, that a 6 was mandatory. I think it's fair to say. And Slot might not have directly meant that, I understand, but his comments are only going to see it as the manager saying, we're still working, so we're expecting. Despite the fact we've heard Zubimendi or no one, there seems to have been a natural download from the club on transfer info. We will have to see, but didn't dampen transfer expectations there, Arne Slot, at all. And naturally, he was asked about the target and what it is for the season, about the team and how they think they can get on. He said, well, the whole team pretty much stayed together. We lost Matip, Thiago and Adrian, but the rest of the team stayed together, which is a positive thing. You're always talking here about transfers, but it's positive that we've kept players here at the club, and in a good place we are, because Jurgen left the team in a good place and we're trying to build from there. We're hoping and aiming for the same this season, of course, and he was referring to winning a trophy, and we're looking forward to the coming season. It's interesting, isn't it? Targets. You will know what you set as a target, I suppose, for this season. I fully understand the logic of, well, we didn't strengthen the squad, or we haven't yet strengthened the squad. We haven't, we might not, we don't know, but there's no one come in. So he's struggling to see us improving, and it collapsed and all those things. I completely can make that argument, zero doubt. I think it'll be interesting to see what, I'm still struggling with this a little bit. What is the realistic target? And the reason I say that is injuries galore last season. We know we were using the kids. We were on the bones of our arse at times. Yes, we saw the kids, but it was never the plan, was it? And then we just kind of, the wheels fell off and they were knackered at the end. This time, you get the feeling one of the big focuses on keeping the squad as fit as possible, and even adapting training for people, as we've heard, if we need to. I don't see that as a bad thing at all. I mean, I see it as a real positive that we're going into this first game of the season, as Arne Slot said in this press conference, with a fully fit squad. That's massive. How many times do we have that last season, genuinely? You also get the impression that approach will be tailored for certain players. It doesn't mean it'll be successful. I'm saying that. It's always about the results, isn't it? But will maybe the likes of Jota train less to have that success? That's possible. You know, if you can get Jota on the pitch for another 10 games, if you don't get Salah, Trent, Szoboszlai injured, then re-injured after 2 games, that's massive at the same time, isn't it? So that goes into it for targets for me anyway. I think we're still short of a title challenge. I can say that person. I don't see how you can put us in contention without a 6. And for me personally, the left-back situation being improved. And probably someone either that comes in or competes with Robbo or Tsimikas, whichever one was most likely you'd feel Tsimikas. That's just the brutal reality of it for me. People will then talk about forwards, but I don't think we're in the title contention without a 6 and a left-back. If we get a 6, it's interesting, depends who it is, how much it moves the needle. I think with Champions League qualifiers, I'd be astonished to think someone will go disastrously wrong if we don't. Touch wood here. Trophy, you never know. But yeah, I think it depends always about the big ones, isn't it? That's how I see it personally. He was asked about contracts as well. And again, I don't really know why he's asked about this. He's already said previously, something to tell you, we will tell you. He's not negotiating them personally. So he said it's not the place to talk about contracts, but I can assure you they are in the squad for tomorrow when referring to Trent, BBD and Salah. Yeah, it's just not going to come up. I don't really know what the point is now. And I get it, and I get the urgency people want to know. But unless something breaks, develops, or you hear something or a story's released, there doesn't really seem too much of a point in asking anything. So he was also asked about how everyone's getting on, and what the journalist then probed was, are the players excited by something different, and how far, which I like this question away, how far do you believe into the adaptation process you are at the moment? So what he said was, well, everyone around, as you've heard, seemed really positive. How far are we? We didn't change that much. There have been many things that are really good. It could be, good, etc. after pre-season, and we want to be perfect, but it's very difficult to reach perfection. Many things have stayed the same, and the players have essentially stayed the same. There's a lot of things to improve, and even if I was here for 4, 5, 6 years, I'd still give you the same answer. We're always aiming for perfection, but there are always ways to improve. Yeah, I didn't mind this at all, to be honest, in what he was saying there. I mean, how far into the adaptation process? It's still initial days, isn't it? Let's be completely honest. So some players, as he's mentioned, only been back, 10, 11 days? So how far are they going to be in? Some people will be suited to the system, as we'll see as the time goes on. Some people won't be suited to it. But the signs are positive. And I think the big positive you have to take, which I'll come on to later, patterns of play. You start to see those in pre-season. I think you can already see to an extent what you could describe as a slot team goal. I think that's big already. So we want to see more of that as well. Will that come to fruition, especially in the Ipswich game or in the future? Time will tell. Then asked about Trent's position and said, for the best, said, well, I always want to bring our best out of a player, but the first aim is to bring the best out of the team. It helps you bring the best out of the player, and naturally Trent is known for playing as a right fullback all his life, and then as a youngster he had played in midfield. We see in the modern game a lot of fullbacks going into the midfield, which he did a few times last year. He's capable of playing both positions really good, and it's up to me where I think he can get, or I can get the most from him for the team. Right fullback.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-new Prologue EV, there's a lot that can impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
I think you've seen that pre-season and the time Trent's been back. Right, fullback. I think the other big thing to say is you see a little bit to link up how, even with, and it's right to reference Connor Bradley, who's almost been at times underlapping and overlapping. The right side does very much seem to be the attacking fullback side, doesn't it? So that's been interesting. You would just think that suits Trent down to a T, doesn't it? That, you know, underlapping over, getting into great positions, delivering those balls for strikers to just nod home, tap home. Even though Jota's finish was unbelievable, it's still Trent picking him out with the cross as well from the set piece. You would just fancy at right fullback, he could, I don't know, essentially destroy numbers, couldn't he, in that regard? So for me, I think it's an easy decision there, realistically. But we will have to see again. Now, an interesting question that Carl Markham, I don't think you regret, it's a good question to ask, maybe the words, because he got picked up on it and said, are you, with everything that's going on, you've not bought anyone, are you weaker if you don't strengthen? And Slot was quite direct, that argument, the team is weak if you don't strengthen, I don't understand. Seems a bit weird, because you either stay the same or you improve. I truly believe that at the training ground, you can help players to improve, and that's what happened in recent years. Maybe what you mean is if clubs around you do strengthen, they become better, but it's not always true if you bring in new players that the team becomes stronger. I believe every player in the team needs to have perspective on playing time. Me and Richard are trying to strengthen the squad, and if we find someone, we'll try to bring him in. The one person we found said no, but in the background, Richard is still trying to improve the team, but my focus is fully on Ipswich. I liked a lot of the element of this answer. I like the way, honestly, he's listening intently and just challenging the journos on certain things, but in the right manner, not aggressively, just an excellent and shrewd communicator. I get what he's saying a bit, and it sounds like he's big. We've seen it in the videos inside training, big on the training ground. I think he can get the most out of players. We're excited to see that, aren't we, in the new system, and can he correct maybe a few things with certain players is the right phrase, or my phrase personally. What I also like is the element of talking about new signings don't always work. However, and this is a big however, we know they're trying to sign players because he admits to himself. We know they want a six, so it's a position that we want to strengthen. He wants to strengthen. He says signings a lot. He said it before as well. So it's natural. There will be a disappointment if there isn't signings coming in by the end of the window. There'll be a massive disappointment. There'll be anger, a furore, and understandably to a point, you'll feel like, why have we done this to ourselves again? Completely understand all that. It's interesting again in that answer, he mentions Richard repeatedly. It's been a clear, almost divvying up of responsibilities. What I mean by that is we know the new structure in place, don't get me wrong, but you think about it this way. Klopp would always be the figurehead and talk about it as we, regardless of who was doing it, be it Julian Wardback, whatever. And I'm not getting into like the previous thing, but for this regime, it's quite clear that Slot is ultimately the coach. He's had that time to assess the squad, make his decisions, give what he wants to Richard Hughes, and it's now on Richard Hughes to sort that. So, it's been mentioned a few times, it's referenced, it's quite clear. We know that already, don't get me wrong, but there will be a lot of questions asked of Richard Hughes if no signings come through the door, and quite rightly, there should be. He was asked then about Diaz. He said, well, there's a lot of speculation constantly, so it's not a surprise. Is there any player you don't ask me about? His future is with us. I like a lot what I see in the last 10 days, and I like a lot what I see in the previous seasons, and I hope he has a big impact in the coming season. Yeah. The thing is, Pipe Sierra has said that Barca are back in. This is the Colombian journalist that naturally has connections with the Diaz camp. Obviously, he broke it to us, really, didn't he? Back in 2022, I think it was, when he joined. So there's something in that. The second thing, we know Luis Diaz wants to be a Barca. We know he essentially wants to do. I don't think it's no state secret at all. We know his dad loves to talk about it for a start as well. So there's that. If there's a chance that Luis Diaz can get to Barcelona, he will be trying to do it. You've no doubts about that. The problem is we know about the non-viable payers. We don't even know if they've got anything to pay with, bar brass washers to start with in the first place. Can they meet the asking price? All that. It's a funny one, this. I also believe that Liverpool would do that deal quite open. A few journos have put it out, haven't they, that Luis Diaz is available and they've named prices there. I would suspect if they can get a price, they would do it, zero doubt. We know the Anthony Gordon situation, but Anthony Gordon is not coming in without Luis Diaz going out. It's unfortunately, this is one that's got a danger of running and running and running. What I mean by that is, if after the Ipswich game, because that's the full focus, there is something there, do it hard. In fact, get it sorted as quick as possible and move to replacement. I don't. What I mean by that is I'm not trying to push Luis Diaz out. I just don't want a situation where this is rumbling and there's, stuff's coming out maybe, or a dad speaks again before the end of the window. So it's either lock the door shut completely and make that crystal clear. And I know you'd say Slot's done that in the presser, but, get the story, just to be clear, get it out there, get it briefed to the patch journos, no chance whatsoever, which hasn't been the briefing, let's be honest. We'll make stuff happen after Ipswich. We'll have to see what happens anyway. And the final question he was asked was about Darwin Núñez and how in his third year we get the most out of him. An interesting one, because the Scouts journal, he couldn't quite pick up. So I don't know if he said first or third there, because I thought we'd made a new sign. And again, very focused on the question, because there's an element of humour to him on his slot as well. He said, well, we do that by bringing him into scoring positions as much as possible. Every individual benefits from team performance. And if we as a team can bring him into, and our attackers as well, into dangerous positions, as a team we will score goals like you've seen in pre-season. We even score goals out of smaller chances. It's up to us to bring him, Diogo, and other attackers into promising positions. And then he, like the other attackers, will score goals. Yeah, I don't think there's too much you can really say. The hope is with Darwin Núñez, almost like he had with Jimenez at Feyenoord, the quality of his chances is better, almost in the nicest way. Darwin doesn't have to think about it too much or do too much. It's more tapping types, getting him into the right position or just in the right position to unleash a shot, because we know the power he's got there as well. It is the third. It is now or never for Darwin Núñez. You cannot dress that up any other way. The big hope, though, is with Slot's coaching, with the system, and as he gets used to it, that will come. The one thing I would say on Darwin Núñez, he was one of the last ones back, and it was quite clear he's not going to start the season. Diogo Jota's probably going to be the starting forward. So we probably might have to wait a game or two, and that's natural because he's only been back as one of those players that Slot mentioned, 10 or 11 days. So he's got to get used to the system. There's still the language barrier, naturally, isn't there, at the same time as well. So we'll have to see it. You may just have to be patient. Whether fans will do that, I don't know. At the start of the season, if we're winning, it's easier, isn't it, naturally? But yeah, it is a now or never season for Darwin Núñez. But I think Slot answered it in the perfect way. You mentioned the other attackers. It's not just Darwin's job, but we will see how it starts for Darwin. And it will start for Darwin at Liverpool at Ipswich. So we'll talk about their threats. Now, they're still strengthening as we talk. And if you're lazy with this, you will say they're a promoted team. They just came up from a League One championship back-to-back. Kieran McKenna's inexperienced at this level. There's players who are still that type of quality in the team, in the squad. That is the lazy version of it. What we should also be looking at is, if you look at their transfers, Sammy Smolitz, I think it's pronounced, the Blackburn attacker who was the top scorer in the championship, he's looked set to join. Calvin Phillips looks set to join on a season-long loan, and the expectation is both of these may just get registered in time for tomorrow. We'll have to see. I mean, he's become a bit of a mocked figure, but Calvin Phillips does have Premier League experience. You know, Sammy Smodic, if that's how it's pronounced, the Blackburn player can score. I know it's a low level, but can score goals. There's a couple of things for Liverpool to consider in there. They've also made some very smart signings, I think, as well. I'm not talking Ed Sheeran doing his 1% thing. I'm talking Ben Johnson, a free transfer after he left West Ham. West Ham tried to renew him. I'm not saying he's the greatest player in the world, but it's a solid fullback, a good signing. Jacob Greaves from Hull did very well. Left-footed centre-backs are a premium anyway. So I think you always look at Ipswich and think the signings they've made, that even if they go down, if they can hang on to them, there's some astute and smart signings. They got Amari Hutchinson from Chelsea, didn't they? He did so well on a free. The keeper, I'm intrigued by. Muric, I think he made some howlers, didn't he? I know he's at City's Academy, I know he's at Burnley. He made some absolute howlers at Burnley, so maybe that's hopeful. Liam Delap, another City player there at Hull. An intriguing one for me, because he only scored 8 goals in the Championship last season. So you wonder him, but who knows? They may have seen something in him specifically. I can't pretend I know Liam Delap's style inside out. I can tell you more about his dad and his long throws. But there we go. There's some smart signings. So let's not just write this off. This has a real banana skin potential. Also, it's away. Also, it's 12:30. Also, they're going to be that game where they're bang up for it. Probably at some stage, Ipswich will take a beating in the Premier League, as most promoted sides do. But their fans will be up for it. It's the first thing, that the passion, the energy will be flowing through them. Team as well. So if we are not on this from the first minute, it's got banana skin potential. I really mean that. We should not just be dismissing this as in like, I saw some people saw it's a good place to start. I'm mixed, because at 12:30, I know what everyone will say about 12:30, maybe a little bit. For me, it suits us in a certain extent. If it was 3 o'clock, they'd be, their crowd would be louder. Maybe they're a bit sleepier in East Anglia at 12:30. I don't know, but this is not going to be an easy game for me. So now it comes to score and scorers. I mean, everyone's fit, and we'll talk lineups first of all. I do think it'll be exactly the same team that played against Sevilla. I really think that. I think no one really shone that much to push themselves. I mean, the strength's really good. So if you think it's like Alisson, BBD and Quansah at centre-back, Tsimikas at left-back, Trent at right-back, Conor Bradley's naturally will think, yeah, it's Trent, but you got a right to be disappointed he started the pre-season so well. Robbo just doesn't look quite, he's not had that fitness, has he, more than anything? I think if he played all pre-season, he'd be there, simple as that. Tsimikas has done all right, to be fair, at the same time as well. And these are the sort of games where you think, well, if you can't use him in these, what would be the point? I don't know, they've touted him around all and sundry, but there we go. Midfield will be Gravenmack in the pivot and Szoboszlai. Now, naturally, someone is going to say, and I get this, Harvey Elliott will be disappointed. I think if you look, especially away from home, I struggle to see it being a good idea to have McAllister and Elliott in the same team. Their running power is not there, especially away from home. That ball goes past them, they're out of the game. So you'd be asking the likes of Grav or whoever it is to do a lot, and I'm not even sure Ryan Grav is the natural defensive six we want him to be. I think he's got certain qualities that suit it. So I just don't think you can start. It wouldn't surprise me still, who knows? But McAllister and Elliott, I don't like that combination, them being 2 out of the 3 midfielders, just personally as well. Attack. Diaz, Gakpo, Salah. It looked proficient, didn't it, against Sevilla, that volley, Diaz getting a couple. I think as well that the combinations in the front line will be important this year. I think you have to have Diaz or Núñez in the front line together. It doesn't look right. They're maybe too individualistic, not in the system. Whereas you need one because it gives pace. If you think Gakpo, Jota, Salah, it's a bit one-paced, isn't it? So you need someone with that dynamic burst in there. The others aren't slow, but we're talking, real pace. At the same time, you want the others to be intelligent footballers. We know what Salah is, the creative hub as well. So you almost feel the combinations, it will be like Gakpo on the left and Núñez in the middle, or Diaz and Jota, which I think will start. So I think you'll see certain combinations, Sue. I just can't make a case for any other lineup. By the way, though, the others could still start. We're not letting me get it right each time. And what a bench. What a bench. You've got defensive cover, but you've got then Jones to change it in midfield. Endo, Harvey Elliott, how much was he the super sub last season? You still got Jota and Gakpo and Nunes, even apologies, on the bench as well. You've got options galore. So, that is really important. God, if we could just keep our squad fit, how important would that be? Famous last words. So the scorers, I think it'll be 2-1 tomorrow. And the scorer for me, I can never bet against the Egyptian king, Mo Salah, be it a penalty, be it however, but 2-1. And to be honest, as long as we win and no injuries, I take that. I know everyone, and I would love to see the patterns of play and everything like that. But if you can win, no injuries, that's just the best way to start the season. Then you can maybe get a few transfers and things sorted. We'll have to see. But over to you. You will have your own thoughts, ladies and gents, whatever they may be. So on Friday, the 16th of August, with just over 24 hours until the opening Premier League game, the first one of the season, that was post-conference presser.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.